What's good, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and we are back with another fight breakdown this weekend, September 24th. This Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we got Joseph Parker against Joyce for the WBO interim heavyweight title. Okay, the winner of this fight will be the mandatory to fight Alexander Usyk, who's currently the WBO champion. Okay, so if you are from America, ESPN Plus is going to be showing this fight as well. If you are in the UK watching this fight on BT, you will have to pay a pay-per-view price. All right. So let's get into it, man. This is a really good fight, a really good matchup. Unfortunately, I won't be here to cover the fight. If something changes, I'll definitely jump on, but I won't be able to go live for this fight. All right. But yeah, it's a really good matchup. Joyce, who's still undefeated. All right, he's 36 years old, 14 wins, 13 knockouts, 0 losses, no draws. He's coming off of a win against Christian Hammer. I want to say his most notable wins in his career are against the undefeated Daniel Dubois, which he was the underdog for. And I would say after that, maybe a Brian Jennings. You could even throw Burmester Vern in there, the former champion in there. But I would like to say that Daniel Dubois was probably the best win on his resume. All right. And then, you know, he's 6'6". He's the bigger man. He usually comes in around 265, you know, anywhere between 270 and 260. Yeah, and he's also an Olympic silver medalist. All right. Even though he hasn't had that many pro fights, he's very, very experienced. He's been in there with a lot of people from his class in the amateurs and the Olympics. All right, so you have Joseph Parker, I believe is 32 years old. Okay, he is was it 30 wins, I believe 21 knockouts, 2 losses. You know, he's 6'4", he's a little shorter, got the shorter reach, and he's a smaller guy. And I think his last fight against Derek Chisora, I think he came in his heaviest as 251. Normally comes in somewhere around 235 to 240 somewhere, but he came in heavy for that Derek Chisora rematch. All right. He had 2 back-to-back fights with Chisora, and he won both. The first one was controversial. He got knocked down in that fight. But was able to dominate Chisora in the second fight that they had, his last fight. His most notable wins are against Chisora, and I would say the beating undefeated Andy Ruiz. All right, and the defeats were to Anthony Joshua on points and Dillian White on points. Another very close fight there. All right, so we're gonna speak on some of those fights, and we're gonna break this down. I do think this is a 50-50 fight. I believe Joyce is a slight favorite to win this, but I do believe that it's a 50-50 fight. I think it can really go either way, and we're going to talk about it. All right, so look. Joyce, the juggernaut. Big guy, big man. His strengths, super durable. Has a great jab. Great pressure. Lots of volume. All right, lots of volume, a well-conditioned guy. I know he's 36 years old, but he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. He's probably got the best cardio, one of the best cardios up there at heavyweight. All right, so you got to deal with the pressure. You got to deal with the size. You got to deal with the power. As far as punch selection, you know, obviously the jab is his greatest strength. But he doesn't have like a single punch that stands out. You know, he's punches and bunches, he's combinations. He's just gonna come, throw hooks, throw right hands, throw jabs. Throws a lot of jabs, but he's usually just switching it up, give you different looks. He doesn't have a single power punch. He doesn't have a big right hand. He doesn't have a huge left hook. He just has a lot of power, and he stays on you and he wears you down. All right. And he's a very, very big man. So that's really his style. I say his weaknesses are he's extremely slow. He's very easy to hit. All right, defense is not that good, but he's very durable, so that makes up for the lack of defense that he has, right? But he's extremely slow. He's very predictable, and you know, doesn't really seem to has shown to fight on his back foot that well. But for the most part, those are his major flaws there. Okay, but he's a great pressure fighter, and I think he's one of the most dangerous guys up at heavyweight. And he's a good, you know, he finishes the show. He's only had one fight that went to a decision against Brian Jennings, and I think that was probably his toughest fight to date. The only thing that I noticed in that fight there was that he got hurt to the body, got hit to the body a couple times, and it seems to be somewhat of his weak point, at least a weaker point than just hitting him in the head all day. Jennings did a pretty good job of, you know, boxing that fight, movement. Didn't have any chance of winning the fight, but he still competed pretty well. All right, he had his moments for sure. All right, so Joseph Parker, very fast, okay? He's been one of the quickest fighters at heavyweight in recent years, him and Andy Ruiz, as far as hand speed. I guess he's one of the slicker guys, solid defense, moves very well, can fight very well on the back foot, is a good counter puncher, likes to set traps, you know, can fight off the ropes, off the corner, you know. Throws good combinations, has a beautiful 1-2, has a good jab. He's the better technician between the two. He's definitely the slicker fighter between the two, the better defender between the two. I just think the weaknesses of Joseph Parker is not aggressive enough. I think he can do a lot more than what he's done or what we've seen in the ring with him. That's always been my complaint about Joseph Parker, is that he just seems to be too nice, too friendly, shows too much respect to his opponents. Another thing is too, Joseph Parker slows down quite a bit. All right, he doesn't have the great cardio that a Joyce is gonna bring. All right, he doesn't bring that same intensity, but he is a very good fighter, a good boxer. But he is also very durable. Okay, he is very durable. And I think it really just depends on what Joe is going to do, what approach he's going to take, because he's going in there with a really, really dangerous fighter. I think at times I feel like Joseph Parker fights on a level of his opposition for sure. And this fight, he's going to have to really step it up because Joyce is in there to try to destroy you. All right. But Parker's good, man. He's a solid boxer. He's been one of the top contenders for years now at this point. Even in the 2 losses that he had were very competitive fights. I think the biggest complaint is whether or not how aggressive is he going to be. Now, a few key things when it comes to Parker. He came in at 251, I believe, against Chisora. And like I said, he's usually down as low as the 230, somewhere up into like the 240s. I like the fact that he came in heavier for Chisora in a rematch because he was just bigger. He was able to hold and control Chisora, you know, use his size against him, be a little bit more aggressive. I liked it. He seemed to be more durable. I know he got dropped in the first fight. He seemed to be a lot more durable, even with the shots that he took from Chisora in that fight. And I think he needs to be heavy for this fight. You know, I think he needs to be aggressive for the fight. I think there's times and there's periods where he is going to fight on his back foot. I still believe he is going to fight on his back foot for the majority of this fight. But it's going to work in his favor because he likes to counter. He likes to back himself against the ropes and set traps, you know. So I think he's definitely going to try to get Joyce to walk into something for sure. All right, but there's going to be periods in this fight where he's going to have to come forward and be a little bit aggressive and be a little bit rough. And I think as he tires down a bit, because I think in the first few rounds he's going to have a good start, similar to Daniel Dubois. You know, I think Dubois maybe won like 2 out of the first 3 rounds. He was landing a lot of right hands, but after that, it seemed like Joyce started to take over. I don't think Parker is going to be taking as many jabs as Dubois did in that fight because of the way that he moves. I think he has a better punch selection. You know, I think he's a better overall boxer than Daniel Dubois. But Daniel is a very aggressive fighter, you know, and I think Joe is going to have to find a way to balance that out. Give us some aggression, but play it smart. Use your tactics, you know, be strategic at the same time. And he's going to have to mix it up, find periods to try to ambush Joyce. He's also got to go to the body a little bit too, since we've seen Joyce hurt to the body before. Go to the body a little bit more. Use some of them counters to attack the body. Let's get some of them uppercuts in. Try to walk Joyce into an uppercut. Time him. You know, slip a shot, land that uppercut to the body up top. Joyce is very, very, very durable, like I said. And Joseph Parker has respectable power. For Parker to win this fight here, he's going to have to find a way. I don't think he can completely neutralize Joyce, but I think if he hits him with a good amount of shots to make Joyce a little wary about coming in, you know, not so comfortable and not so confident in coming in, hit him with some shots that's going to make him fall back a little bit. You can't stop him, but if you can neutralize him just a little bit, to slow him down a bit, you know, that would help Parker with the rounds, because I do think that Parker is going to hit him with more cleaner shots, you know, more flush shots, more eye-catching shots. Joyce, on the other hand, has to be aggressive. He has to come forward. He has to pressure Parker, slow him down, all right? Wear him out. Draw as many jabs as you can. It's going to be tough early while Parker is fresh. We're going to notice the hand speed right away. Even though Parker is going to be coming in heavier, I'm assuming he's going to come in heavier like he did before. I think he should stay above 250 for this guy, Joyce, because he's very, very big. I think a lighter, quicker Parker would be good, but he fades later, starts catching bigger punches, more punches, and he might go down. I think he needs to come in heavy so he can absorb some of those punches a lot better than he would if he was lighter. He's already got the speed advantage. He's already has it. He just got to make sure that he's able to fight a 12-round fight if it is to go there, because it's going to be a war and Joyce is not going to stop. So Joyce, use that jab. All right, keep that volume high. No matter what, you're going to be missing. Joe is going to be slipping shots. He's going to be countering, but you got to keep the pressure going. Attack Joe's body. Joseph Parker, that is. They're both Joe. Attack Parker's body. You know, slow him down. Get him winded by the 4th, 5th round so you can take over in the 12th. We already know Joyce could go 12 rounds full steam ahead without slowing down that much. But the thing is, he's going to be missing a lot of shots. He's not a precise puncher. He's just a volume puncher. He's all about the pressure. So keep the pressure going. Use some of that defense. Even though I said his defense is poor, it's not that bad. You know, he does move his head at times. You know, he does slip shots. He does know how to close the distance. The jab that he has, it's more like he punches down with it. You know, he doesn't really extend his arms when he throws. Another thing is too, I see it. Brian Jennings did a good job smothering Joyce's punches. You know, he didn't really take the full effect of a lot of Joyce's power. You know, he did a good job keeping that high guard, keeping that defense tight. I don't think Joseph Parker is going to be as good defensively as Jennings, because Jennings moved a lot more than where I'm expecting Joe to move. But what Joe lacks in defense, he's going to make up in what Parker lacks in defense, he's going to make up for it in offense, which Brian Jennings didn't really have in a fight. You know? So, and then at the same time, I think Parker is going to be better defender than Daniel Dubois was, right? So with that being said, I think Joyce, the way this fight is going to play out, I'm not expecting a knockout here. Okay, I'm not expecting a knockout from either. I think Joyce definitely has a better chance of hurting Parker, maybe dropping Parker, but you can't sleep on Parker. He does have power. He does have power. If we go into the other fights, I think Parker needs to be somewhat of that guy that we saw late in the last 2 rounds of the Dillian White fight when he was down. We need to see the Parker that was in the Derek Chisora fight. I think the fact that he's coming off 2 Chisora fights is good for him because he just fought a really good pressure fighter. Different from Joe Joyce, all right, different dimensions, different styles, but they're both pressure fighters. I think it's good that Parker just came off 2 tough fights with Chisora to go into this fight because he's ready for pressure. All right, he just dealt with pressure. So Parker needs to be like he was in that second Chisora fight. He has to pick the periods and times to really be aggressive, just to keep that respect there. You know, you don't want Joyce to just walk all over you. You know, and the Dillian White fight, you know, him coming back, being very aggressive at the end, almost stopping White at the end. I really believe that fight should have had an immediate rematch for sure, just the way it played out. But we need that Parker. Okay, we don't need the Parker from the Anthony Joshua fight or many other fights where, you know, the Chisora first fight, where he's mainly just fighting on his back foot, mainly just doing that, not being aggressive. We need Parker to fight in a way where he wants to hurt. No touching gloves, none of that. He has to be completely aggressive here and find the periods to set the traps, counter, do that. But you have to make Joyce respect you, to slow him down so he won't just keep stepping forward, coming forward. I think when it comes to scoring, Joyce is going to pick up a lot of rounds based on aggression, based on him bringing a fight to Joseph Parker, okay? Joyce is going to be bringing a fight to him. He's going to be coming forward more, all right? He's going to be throwing more punches. Now, I don't think a lot of these punches are going to be clean. They're going to be flush, but there's going to be periods where Parker is not throwing much of anything. And because Joyce is just being the aggressor, even if he's not landing a lot, he may be landing more, and he can easily get rounds over Parker, okay? Parker is definitely the more experienced as a pro. He's been in there with the better fighters, all right? Joyce has been in there with some good fighters, but Parker has been in there with better. The thing is, Parker has a lot of close, debatable fights, you know, whereas Joyce he's clearly won every fight that he's fought. And it's gonna be a good one. You know, I think it's gonna be a good one. I can see Joyce winning. You know, I can see him winning just because he's winning more rounds. You know, I think, again, Parker is going to start off fast. I think Joyce is going to pick it up, winning some of the middle rounds. I think Parker is going to come out fast, but he's going to switch it up at some point, and it's going to be a point where he's going to land clean shots, and he's going to start holding because he's not going to be able to just deal with Joyce's relentless attack. He's not going to stop throwing punches. So there's going to be a period in this fight, and I'm thinking like the 5th, 6th rounds, and maybe after that, where Parker is going to land a combination, and he's going to tie up. All right, because he's not going to want Joyce to counter or just try to turn it into a slugfest. So I think Parker is going to get to a point where he's going to hit, hold, hit, hold, because he's not going to be able to maintain him unless he's been able to hurt Joyce or he's really, really dominant, which I'm not expecting. All right, Joyce, on the other hand, has to be aggressive. If Parker starts holding him, tying him up, you know, do a good job in being in that sweet spot between the two so you don't smother yourself, smother your punches, and for Parker to keep tying up. If Parker starts tying up a lot, you have to start being very, very, very aggressive, getting him on you, get him off you, creating that space, working that jab, and keep throwing punches. Joyce cannot stop throwing punches. At the end of the day, he'll lose a boxing match. He's going to lose a boxing match against Parker. Parker is the superior boxer. But you got to outwork him. Again, go to the body. Throw more shots to the body. And just watch out for the uppercut from Parker. Definitely watch out. That'll be the money shot. We saw him hurt Chisora with that uppercut in that fight. You know, and if you have Parker against the ropes, keep him there for as long as you could. Work the body again and just throw as many punches as possible. You know, some of them will land. Most of them probably won't. But the judges is going to probably go with the more aggressive guy. And I think that's the way Joyce could win the fight. I've been thinking about all week who I'm going to pick. I know when the fight was announced, I was leaning towards Joyce just off the strength of his volume and his aggression. But I'm kind of leaning towards Parker now because I just think that Parker and his superior boxing skills, I think Joyce is going to get hit a lot. And, you know, I think the punches that Parker lands are just going to be more flush, more eye-catching. They're just going to be better. And even though Joyce is going to be very aggressive, we're going to see him looking slow in the fight. We're going to see him missing a lot of shots. I know there's going to be a point where Parker is going to be tired and Joyce is going to pick up some rounds. But I still think that Parker is going to look better by landing the more eye-catching shots. And I think it's going to get him winning a split or majority decision. All right. Now, as far as politics, I know that this is a BT Sports fight. Frank Warren and all of that. Joe Joyce is their guy. So I get it. I know if there's a close fight, there's a chance there'll be a close fight. It could go to Joe Joyce. But I think Parker is going to do enough to win the fight on the cards. If there's a robbery or whatever from some sort from either side, it is what it is. But I think Parker is a little better. I like what I saw in the last fight against Chisora. I saw an improvement there. If this was coming off of the Chisora first fight, I would say Joyce wins clearly. But being that I seen Parker look heavier, I liked how he looked coming in heavier. I like how aggressive he was. I still think he could be more aggressive because I think that if he really would push for it, he probably would have stopped Chisora. But I think if he's more aggressive, and I think he's going to have no choice but to be in this fight, you know, I think that's going to bring the best out of him, you know, and I think he's going to do well this Saturday, all right? So anyway, please subscribe to the channel. Please smash that like button if you like the comments, the content, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. Peace.